To the country's deeply wounded economy. To tell us more, we're joined on the line by Prosper Chitambara, an economist based in Harare, Zimbabwe. Prosper, good evening and thank you so much for joining us on The Globe.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, Prosper, you've basically spoken about struggling to get fuel for your home generator and that power outages start at 4 in the morning up to midnight. Tell us about that. How are you surviving?
It's really quite difficult, especially since the abolishment of the multi-currency regime. Actually, most the service stations that used to sell fuel in US dollars are no longer selling in US dollars. They're actually afraid of losing probably their licenses. So now, if you can't actually buy fuel if you have US dollars, like that used to be the case before the multi-currency system was abolished. But it's actually difficult, and a number of people are also having to have some solar energy as backup. Some are also, it's difficult actually, but I think solar for most people, that's probably the cheaper alternative.
Now, for those people who do have alternatives, having a generator, for instance, and, using solar energy as backup, that's a very good thing. But what about the ordinary people who don't even have access to, having a generator or even having solar panels to assist them with the electricity? What's happening to the people on the ground, basically?
I mean, essentially, it's a very terrible kind of situation, especially for the ordinary person on the ground. It means they then have to buy select firewood for cooking, and also the price of firewood has also actually gone up. So I think it's quite difficult, especially for the ordinary person.
Now, Eskom has issued a statement after there were media reports with regards to the Zimbabwe government having paid 10 million, rands to Eskom and to sort of service the debt that they have to ensure that there is electricity in the country. Now, Eskom has come out and stated that they have no idea or no money has been received from the Zimbabwe government. What exactly is happening there? What are the exact details?
Yeah, I know. We also saw the headlines that Zimbabwe had made some part payments to Eskom towards the retirement of its debt with Eskom, but of course we took it with a bit of pinch of salt, and I think the facts on the ground are that they are now saying that no money has actually been paid to Eskom. So I think it's quite sad to have then to put out incorrect statements in the public media.
What sort of reaction or what action has the government or the leadership taken with regards to ensuring that the people of Zimbabwe's electricity is restored and people are able to live their lives with power supply?
I think government hasn't really done much. What the government has actually said is that we have this problem at least until after the next rainy season, because essentially it's as a result of low water levels at Lake Kariba, which is our major hydropower plant. So government is actually saying that because of the low water levels, we can't actually generate enough electricity, so we have to wait until probably the next season and hope that there will be actually enough rains to at least fill up the dam.
Now, the impact of, no electricity in the country, the hours of load shedding, the impact of this on the health system, the economy itself, an ailing economy as we speak. And, what does this do, the effects of the protests that are taking place, doctors complaining that they cannot work a full weekday in the hospital. They have to work 2 days in or 3 days out. What exactly? It's a huge crisis in the country. What's government's reaction?
It's actually a massive crisis. What we know is that I think last week the president actually met with some of the representatives of the unions that are representing the nurses And actually there was a promise that at least their salaries will be raised such that the lowest civil servant would earn at least 1,000 RTGS dollars per month. So I think there's been that actually took place. And as a result of that, I think the nurses decided to not to actually go for the industrial action that they had actually threatened. So, but we also know that the government is also enacted the Tripartite Negotiating Forum Act and the TNF, which is essentially the key social dialogue platform. They actually met on Tuesday. So the TNF brings together government, labor, and the business, and they actually came up with a position paper was actually issued on Tuesday, which is actually even also criticizing the move by government to abolish the multi-currency regime and introduce reintroduce the Zimbabwe dollar.
There's a bit of skepticism when it comes to President Mnangagwa and his reaction to the protests protests that were supposed to take place, and the action that he has come out and stated that would be taken to ensure that people are paid and their salary scales are increased to the value of what they were a couple of years ago. Do you think that the people on the ground believe him? Do you think that the medical fraternity believes him? The teachers believe him? What's their response?
I think so far they decided to give the government the benefit of the doubt. So I think that's why they've decided to say the strikes, or rather they've given government actually a 14-day notice to go on industrial action. But again, I think now the real challenge is that even if the salaries are actually increased to at least a minimum of 1,000 RTGS dollars, but things have actually increased quite substantially in the shops within the past few days. Even the doctors have actually also raised their doctors' fees to a minimum of at least 1,000 RTGS as consultation fees. So even that proposed increase actually won't be enough to cushion the workers from the price developments of the past few days.
Prosper, thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave it there for now. That is Zimbabwe economist Prosper Chitambara joining us there.